My name is Charles Austin Klein. On April 18th, 2024, I filed a complaint with the BC Human Rights Tribunal against the Vancouver City Police Department for discriminating against me and failing to investigate a sexual assault I experienced on July 29th, 2022. The investigation consisted of them calling the manager of the bathhouse, who likely set up the assault in the first place, which I said in the interview that it was probably organized by somebody working at the bathhouse. They called the manager and asked if he remembered anything unusual from that night. They did not give him my name. They did not show him my picture. They did not speak to any other staff members. They only spoke to the manager. And the manager then told them that he spoke with staff that were working that day and they didn't remember anything either. I was then blamed for their failure to investigate, or their inability to investigate, because it took me 5 weeks to report the sexual assault I experienced. I didn't even realize that I was assaulted for 3 weeks. When I was showering and I felt the damage that was done, that I will have to have surgery to repair and correct. That was not an investigation. It's a private club that requires ID and membership. Every single person that comes into that building is scanned and their information is kept on file. So they could have gotten some people's information that were there that night and asked them if they remembered anything, but they didn't. And they said it was because I was unsure of the assault even happening in my interview. But anybody that has dealt with victims knows that they will minimize their assault or their experience as a way of trying to process it. So that should have been taken into consideration. And the police officers should have been trained in trauma-informed reporting or investigating, but they weren't. I sent several emails to the police officer, none of which were replied to. I got one phone call from the police officer telling me that she spoke with the manager, and that was all she did. That is not an investigation into a sexual assault. And so I filed a complaint that they were discriminating against me due to my gender and sexual orientation because I was a gay man that was raped in a bathhouse, and they did not feel it was worth their time to investigate. What followed my complaint, the reactions of the Vancouver City Police Department, was not one of integrity or accountability or legal responses at all. It was a campaign of intimidation, harassment, false accusations, misdiagnoses from the hospital, over-medicated, all in attempts to silence me and to keep me from exposing what I've been through and what I've experienced, and the illegal actions of the Vancouver City Police Department. They tried to have me human trafficked. They tried to have me kidnapped by human traffickers as a response to my complaint. You would not think that a police force would act like that. The people that are meant to protect us doing the exact opposite and only trying to protect themselves. And save their reputation. I'm going to try and keep this video under 30 minutes, but I do have a lot of information to go over. And there will be more videos because I'm going to document all of the events that I went through, because I have a very good memory. And I made the decision at the very beginning of this that I either had to give up and withdraw my complaint, or I had to go all in. And I went all in. My dog died as a result of this. If they think I'm giving up because they're going to intimidate me, then they're sadly mistaken. They will see now once I post this video. So I'm not giving up. I won't let them bully me. I will not let them get away with this. This is not how people should be treated. Even if I was a criminal, which they have been trying to spread rumors about, this is not how a criminal should be treated. It's illegal. It's unhumane. And it's not right. And I am going to point out in this video that this is now the second person that has interrupted my recording, along with another person that has just recently sat to my right on the other side of the bush. I've had to flee Vancouver for my own safety. They were intimidating doctors to misdiagnose me with schizophrenia. I do not have schizophrenia. I am very aware of my mental health, and I do not have schizophrenia. The psychiatrist would not even tell me the symptoms of schizophrenia. And they over-medicated me, didn't tell me any of the symptoms to look out for or to be aware of with the medication that they were putting me on, forcing me to take under the Mental Health Act, when I wasn't a danger to myself and I wasn't a danger to anyone else. I'm not a criminal. I am a truth speaker. And I'm not going to let them get away with this. This campaign of intimidation, harassment, coercion, slander started immediately after I filed my complaint, which means that the BC Human Rights Tribunal went out of their process and notified the Vancouver City Police Department of my complaint before they even accepted it as a complaint. It's over a year later, and the BC Human Rights Tribunal is still saying that they've not determined if it was going to be a valid human rights complaint or not. But yet I've been experiencing these very obvious experiences of what's happening. I used AI to try and help me decipher what was happening and validate my experience by entering what I was witnessing and allowing it to tell me what potentially could be happening or the signals could mean. It immediately started with them gaslighting me and telling me the incorrect time, and having two different people with 90 minutes apart tell me that it was 8:18. The first time it was probably about 8 p.m. and the second time it was 9:25. An 8:18 in a police code is instant occurred, investigated, no charges filed. I Googled it when I got back to my apartment. The most obvious way of gaslighting somebody by giving them the incorrect time, getting them to question their perception of reality right from day one. For the last year, I have not been able to trust the time somebody tells me when I'm out in public, and that it's really hard to manage. They have tried to turn the West End against me, the West End of Vancouver against me, by telling them that I'm a criminal. I don't know exactly what they've been saying, but I know that they've been telling them that I'm a criminal. I've heard jewel thief, criminal mastermind. Jewel thief. I made $3,000 last year. I'm a jewel thief. I got evicted for not being able to pay my rent. That's not a jewel thief. The only thing I've stolen in the last year has been food, because I've only made $3,000. So I have had to steal food, but that's it. And I would just steal what I needed for the day, for the meal that I was missing. Put enough into my stomach so I can continue on. I was down to 130 pounds. I'm 6'2". I should not be 130 pounds. I'm still only at 160, and that's like barely close to what I should be weighing. To date, what I've done with these complaints is I have sent an email, I have filed formal complaints with the Office of Police Complaint Commissioners, the National Security and Intelligence Review Agency. I've updated my complaint with the BC Human Rights Tribunal, and I filed a complaint with the BC Ombuds, who are supposed to be the people that review the police actions. In these emails, with sending these forms, I included an email, and in the email to the OPCC, the Office of the Police Complaint Commissioner, I clearly stated, I want to be clear that I am in need of actual assistance in dealing with this matter any further. Some form of safe, secure space to begin to heal from all the abuse over the last year. That was sent to them on Tuesday, April 29th, and I have not received a response. In my email to the National Security and Intelligence Review Agency, I wrote, I will need some form of protective custody. It seems I need to be very clear here. I am in distress and I am in need of help, like safe, secure shelter to begin with. That also was sent on April 29th. The reply that I got from the National Security Information Review Agency was directing me to email the director of the agency, which I had done in March 2025. And never got a response to the email. In my last email to the BC Human Rights Tribunal, which was Wednesday, April 30th, I'm writing to clarify that this retaliation is not a past incident. It is ongoing, escalating, and coordinated. I continue to face intimidation, harassment, and reputational harm directly connected to my original human rights complaint against the VPD, complaint number CS011972, which the original complaint was filed on April 18th, 2024, and the retaliation complaint was sent in February of 2025. And the BC Human Rights Tribunal is trying to say there's just the one incident, but when it's a daily campaign a daily campaign attacking me from the police force, how am I supposed to bring it down to one single incident? Do I file a report for each day? My fear right now is that they are going to try and charge me with a more serious crime. Falsely charge me. Make up evidence. Who knows what they would do. But the base facts of the matter, they were trying to get me human trafficked. They would lead me into parking lots, rush me into parking lots every day, and take me down to the 4th floor and just let me sit there for hours. I made a rule to myself that I'd only sit there for 90 minutes because if there was actually a problem and there was something seriously going on, it should not take them more than 90 minutes to get secure transportation out for me. So I would sit in the parking lot on the 4th floor, bottom floor, for 90 minutes, and nobody would show up, and I would leave. Finally, there was somebody that was in the parking lot when I got there, a young Asian lady and her child. He was maybe between 5 and 8. And instead of seating him in the back, like most parents would do, she sat him in the front. And she stood by the car for 35 minutes. After shopping, that's a long time for somebody to be standing in a parking lot just watching me. I believe she did not grab me that day. 1, because I had my dog with me, and 2, I didn't get close enough to her car for her to discreetly grab me. And I fully believe that that Asian woman was a driver for the human traffickers. And maybe that's how the VPD gets their unlimited budget that they have. They just take people that are causing problems or complaining and get them picked up by human traffickers. At about $80,000 a person, there's your unlimited budget. I'm sharing this now because I want to protect myself from false accusations. I am not now, nor have I ever been a serious criminal. I have not been in any organized crime. I will admit I have sold drugs, but I was not selling drugs at the time of this event. But that is basically the only crime I've committed for the majority of my life, is selling drugs. And I did it out of need, out of desperation, not having any other options. Which is why people do crime in the first place, because they don't have any other options. But I would never take part in human trafficking. I would never rob a bank. I would never steal somebody's jewelry. I've stolen food in the last year. They even had these people, the police officers, following me around, and they didn't even catch me stealing food. Or it just wasn't enough to make it worthwhile to make a big deal about it. Because I would steal like a sandwich, a perishable item, and dog food. The stress on my dog and the malnourishment and the inability to properly care for him resulted in his death. This campaign of intimidation killed my dog, Francis, and he was my emotional support animal. And his loss is still felt today. And he passed away in October, and I still can't get over the fact that he's gone. A doctor, they took me to the hospital under the Mental Health Act, falsely, because I was never a threat to myself or others, which are the first two criteria in putting someone under the Mental Health Act. And they had the doctor lie. First there was 3 doctors that tried to admit me. None of them could find a reason to admit me. So they had the 4th doctor come in, and he made up and told and put on my file that I claimed to be Jesus. In a recorded interview, recorded room, I never said I was Jesus or claimed to be anything of the sort. I would like to see the video that says that I did. And it shows that I did, because I never said that. I was taking notes when I was in the hospital, and I was very aware of what I was saying and how I was being perceived. They kept me in the hospital for 2 weeks. Put me back on the medications that I don't need. Tried to make me believe that everything that I'd experienced was not real. But it was. It really did happen. All the things that I've experienced did happen. It just highlights the abuse of the Mental Health Act, which I hope is just a Vancouver thing, but it is potentially countrywide. Maybe all police forces are abusing this Mental Health Act and taking people that are causing them problems or complaining about them and throwing them in the hospital and telling them they're crazy. This is a crazy experience that I've been going through. I am not a crazy person. I am rational. It would take me multiple people showing me the same sign before I would follow them or engage. And I'm talking like 5 or 6 people would have to do the same action before I would start to follow them. They would put their hands behind their backs like in handcuffs or at a 90-degree angle. They would walk either extremely slowly across, like through my line of sight, exaggerated, dragging bags, or they would run for about 10 feet and then stop running. I even had one person walk into the middle of the street, turn around, do it in a dead stop, turn around in a 180 degree, and then walk back the other way that they came from. Basically signaling me to turn around. I'm going the wrong way. the people in the West End that believed these lies that they were being told, stop talking to me. People that were friendly on the street when I was out walking my dog were no longer friendly. More people were doing the arms behind their back thing, trying to signal to me that their dominance and their authority and the power they believe they have over me. I'm putting out this video because I've tried to reach out for support through the legal avenues that are available to me through the appropriate review agencies, and they have not gotten back to me in a timely manner when I have clearly told them that I am in need of assistance immediately and that I am in danger. And they said nothing. The only thing I can think of to do next is to go to the States and claim refugee status. I tried to go to a lawyer. First, they blocked the call. And then, no, the first time I tried to call, it was a busy signal. The second time I tried to call, it was line blocked to all callers. And then I got out of my van where I was living at the time, and there's 5 plainclothes police officers standing outside my van. I know they were all officers because I said, "Good morning, officer," to each one of the 5 of them, and none of them corrected me. A police officer can't say they aren't a police officer. And somebody that's not a police officer would not allow you to address them as a police officer.
How you doing? How you doing?
Good.